Right now, your body is carrying a weapon. You can't see it, but almost every large animal that ever shared a plane with you was on some level terrified of it. It isn't your claws. You don't have claws. You don't have fangs. You're not strong. You're not fast. A house cat would beat you in a sprint. And yet, on the open ground, in the heat of the day, you are one of the most terrifying hunters this planet has ever produced. Not because you're dangerous in a fight, because you do not stop. You never stop. Your ancestors killed the fastest animals alive by walking after them. They picked something huge and quick, and they followed it for hours until it overheated, staggered, and fell down. No trap, no ambush, just a small, patient figure appearing on the horizon, again and again. This is the story of the single strangest thing about your body, and it starts with a race a human once ran against a horse. Let me say the plan out loud because it sounds insane. The plan is to kill a healthy, fast animal with no weapon that can reach it by making it too hot to live. And to do that, you use a rule that runs through almost the entire animal kingdom. Speed is a short story. A cheetah is the fastest land animal on Earth, and it can do that for about 30 seconds before it has to stop or cook its own brain. Lions, leopards, wolves, the great hunters are almost all sprinters, explosive, brief, and then done. They ambush, they pounce, and if the first rush fails, usually the hunt is just over. Not us. Humans are the opposite kind of animal.
We are catastrophically bad at sprinting. Any decent-sized prey animal can leave us for dead in a straight sprint. But speed and endurance are two completely different machines, and at a slow, grinding, all-day pace, almost nothing on land can outlast us. We didn't win the 100-meter dash. We won the marathon nobody else even entered. And we won it in the worst possible conditions, the blazing middle of the day, when every sane animal is hiding in the shade. That is exactly when our ancestors chose to go to work, midday, the hunter shift. So how does a slow, weak, clawless animal kill the fastest thing on the plane by walking? One word: heat. Every running animal on Earth has the same hidden enemy. Not you, not the lion, not the distance. Its own body temperature. A galloping animal is basically a furnace wrapped in a thick fur coat, and it has one clumsy way to cool down. It has to stop and pant. You don't. You are the naked, sweating ape that cools itself while it keeps moving. That, in one sentence, is the entire trick. Move, cool, repeat. But before we get to how your body actually pulls that off, I promised you a horse, because a few times a year, in Wales of all places, humans line up to race one over 22 miles, and every so often, the humans win. Hold on to that. First, we need to talk about the fatal flaw hiding inside every fast animal alive. Okay, think about what running actually does to a body. Muscles burn fuel. Burning fuel makes heat.
A hard-working muscle throws off most of its energy as pure heat, and the faster you go, the more of it you make. A big animal at a full gallop is generating a staggering amount of heat fast, and if that heat has nowhere to go, the body starts to cook itself from the inside. Proteins warp, muscles quit, the brain swells. A large mammal only has a couple of degrees of headroom before that starts happening, so every animal needs a radiator, and most furry mammals only own one: panting. Panting works. It moves air over a wet tongue and throat, but there is a catch that decides the entire hunt. You cannot pant properly while you gallop. When a big four-legged animal runs flat out, its guts swing back and forth like a heavy piston and slam into its lungs with every single stride. That forces its breathing to lock to its legs. One footfall, one breath. It doesn't get to choose. So the harder it runs to escape you, the more heat it pours out and the less it's able to shed. Speed becomes a trap. The animal is fast enough to leave you behind in seconds, so it does. It sprints, panicked, over the hill and stops in the shade to pant it off. Smart move. Except for one thing. Over that hill, still walking, comes you, and you get there before it's finished cooling down. And notice exactly when this works best. High noon, the hottest hours of the day. The precise window when lions and leopards are lying flat in the shade, refusing to move. The heat that shuts down every other hunter on the plain is the exact heat you turned into a weapon. Now here's your side of the same problem.
Look down at your arm. You are, by ape standards, basically bald. Every other great ape is covered head to toe in hair, so why would an ape ever give up its coat? Fur is cozy at night, but at midday it's a trap. It holds heat against the skin and blocks the breeze. Lose the coat, and sweat on bare skin can finally evaporate. So the fur thinned and the sweat glands multiplied, together over a very long time. And there's a leftover clue still on your arm. Goosebumps. Tiny muscles trying to fluff up a fur coat that hasn't been there for a very long time. The one place we kept the hair was right on top of the head, a little sun shield over the one organ we could not let cook. Somewhere along the way, you lost the rest of yours. And in exchange, you got something almost no other animal has in this quantity: sweat glands. Somewhere around 2 million of them spread across bare skin. A dog has almost none, mostly just in its paws, which is why a dog on a hot day pants and doesn't go anywhere. A horse is one of the rare animals that does sweat, but even a horse pushed long enough in real heat overheats before a trained human does. You, on the other hand, are a radiator with 2 million tiny taps opening straight onto the open air. When a drop of sweat evaporates, it physically drags heat off your body with it. On a hard day, you can pour out over a liter of sweat an hour, sometimes closer to 2. And here's the killer part: you can do all of it at a dead run. Your breathing isn't chained to your stride. You breathe however you like and cool the whole time.
So while the antelope is stuck choosing run or cool down, never both, you simply do both at once. A slow animal that dumps heat while moving, chasing a fast animal that can't. That's the whole game. There's a price, of course. All that sweat is water, and you have to replace it. So the endurance hunter has to plan, carry water, know the land, time the heat. Cooling made us deadly, but it also quietly demanded a brain that plans ahead. Hold that thread too. And it isn't only the skin. Once you start looking at the human body, it is quietly, almost embarrassingly obsessed with running. Start at the back of your leg. Your Achilles tendon is a spring. Every step, it stretches, stores the energy, and fires it back for free on the next stride. Chimps barely have one at all. The arch of your foot is another spring, a little bow that snaps you forward, step after step after step. Your legs are full of these free springs. Then there's a small, strange one, a little band at the base of your skull, called the nuchal ligament. Its only real job is to keep your head steady while you run. Chimps and gorillas don't have it. You know which animals do? Dogs, horses, antelope, the committed runners of the animal world. And, tucked on the end of that list, us. No other primate on Earth can do this. A chimp cannot jog for miles. It simply isn't built for it. You can be trained to run for hours on end. Watch a small child on an open beach who just runs for no reason at all until an adult catches them and makes them stop. That's not something we taught. That's ancient. There's more.
Deep in your ear, the balance canals that stop the world blurring when you run are enlarged, exactly like a dedicated runner's. Big springy leg tendons, arched snapping feet, a head held rock steady, huge glutes that barely fire when you walk and roar to life the second you run. Short toes built to push off clean, a tall, narrow frame that's easy to cool. None of that is a coincidence. A body does not stack up a dozen separate running upgrades unless running was, for an enormous stretch of time, the difference between eating and being eaten. So let's actually run one. And this isn't guesswork, it still happens. Hunters in the Kalahari have been filmed doing it within the last few decades. It begins in the hottest part of the day, deliberately. The hunter picks one specific animal, usually a big one since big animals overheat fastest, and spooks it into running. It sprints off easily and disappears. As far as the animal is concerned, it already escaped. But now the hunter does the strange, patient thing. They do not chase it, they track it. And this is where it gets beautiful. To track an animal you can't see, you have to imagine being it. You read the marks and you guess. Where would a frightened, tiring animal go next? Then you test the guess against the ground. Some researchers think that exact habit, read the clues, imagine, predict, check, might be one of the oldest roots of science itself, a person doing physics with their feet. And all the while, the trap is closing. Every time the animal stops to pant, the small figure reappears behind it and it has to bolt before it's cooled. Sprint. Stop. Not enough rest. Sprint again. A little hotter every single time. Put yourself inside the animal for a second. You did everything right. You ran, you escaped, twice. And every time you finally catch your breath, the thing is there again. Not sprinting, not panicking, just there. There is no fighting it and no shaking it off. And this is the part that is honestly a little eerie. The hunter is calm. No adrenaline, no snarling, no violence, not yet. Just a quiet, certain thing that will not go away. Hour after hour, mile after mile. often 15, 20, 30 kilometers, until the animal's body simply refuses. It overheats and shuts down where it stands. It collapses before the hunter even reaches it. The kill, when it finally comes, is quiet. The hard part was never the killing. The hard part, the whole time, was the walking. Which brings us back to Wales. Every summer, in a town called Llanwrtyd Wells, they run the man versus horse marathon. Humans on foot against horses and their riders across 22 miles of hilly country. For years and years, the horse always won. And then, more than once now, a human on foot beat every single horse. On a warm day, over that kind of distance, a well-trained person can genuinely run a horse into the ground. Not most days, not most people, but the fact that it's even on the table tells you precisely what kind of animal you are. Now, the honest catch. A lot of scientists are careful about this whole story.
We have never dug up a fossil of a persistence hunt. And some argue it was actually pretty rare, that our running bodies evolved partly for scavenging instead, getting to a fresh carcass fast before the hyena stripped it clean. And here's why that argument makes the story better, not worse. Chase prey down or race rivals to a body, both answers land on the exact same conclusion. Our bodies were hammered into shape over more than 1 million years by one relentless demand: cover long, hot distance on foot or don't eat. Whichever way you cut it, you are an endurance machine that happens to think. And that endless walking didn't just fill a stomach, it may have helped build the thing reading the sentence. A hunt like that brings home meat, dense, fatty, brain-feeding fuel in amounts that gathering plants alone never could. Meat is concentrated calories, and a brain is an outrageously expensive thing to run. Yours burns about 1/5 of your energy just sitting here. And a big, hungry, expensive brain is exactly the machine you need to track one animal across miles of blank ground, hold a mental model of where it went, and plan the water to get you home. The chase fed the brain got better at the chase. And there's a social twist. A hunter gone all day has to trust the others to keep the camp, mind the kids, share the food. The long hunt only works if the group holds together. You cannot run a 12-hour hunt if nobody is keeping things running back home. Endurance hunting is a team sport that only looks like a solo one.
Round and round it went for a very long time, until, eventually, here you are. So the next time you feel that restlessness after too many days sitting perfectly still, that itch to just get up and move, it isn't nothing. It's a body built to cross whole landscapes quietly wondering why it's been parked in a chair. You never outmuscled the animal kingdom. You never outran it. You outlasted it. No claws, no fangs, no real speed. What you had instead was bare skin, a steady head, 2 million tiny taps, a brain that could read the dirt, and the one thing nothing else out there could match. You just don't stop. Everything else on that plane had to rest. You were the animal that kept walking. And somewhere under the sofa and the car keys and the phone, you still are.